Hello. I call these days bounce back days. He's good. He's good. He's good. Yes. Yesterday I was very suicidal, and I thought, everything in life was extremely difficult and terrible and things like that. Today I think everything is good. Everything is good today, and that is. I feel like I could take on the world and everything is great and I love everything and yes, everything is great today. And that is what it's like to have borderline personality disorder or even trauma. Some days you have bad flashbacks or triggers that lead to flashbacks and you're like, oh no, ah, 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 and your whole day is ruined. Or you wake up in the middle of the night with a trauma dream, and your day is, your morning is ruined. You just feel awful and depressed and hypervigilant. Sometimes you're rushing around, you don't feel right because of the trauma nightmare. So yeah, and that is why it's so hard to be with someone with borderline personality disorder. It's a relationship to marry or to have a relationship with, like girlfriend, boyfriend, that kind of thing. Because what ends up happening is one hour the person is happy and you're like, oh, they're happy, and then the next hour they're sad and you're like, oh no, what happened, why are they sad now? And then the next hour they're angry and they bang things and throw things and they yell at you, and then half an hour later they're laughing and they're happy again and they're manic and you're like, what the hell did I marry? I have a friend I have a friend. She is not bipolar or borderline or anything, but she married someone, and that is, and her life is terrible. Oh, I feel so bad for her because she tells me about how awful her life is all the time, and it's just because she married a man that was bipolar. He's so depressed he can't do anything months at a time. He can't leave the house. He's scared of people. He eats awful food because he eats so he could feel better, and he's in hell. I've seen him many times, and you go around him and you're like, oh God, yeah. Oh no, that's terrible. Yes, it's a very strange thing. I've been in many mental institutions, and people in these mental institutions, they all have the same. Well, not all of them have the same problem, but a lot of them do. They talk about their relationships, like, and most of them are bipolar or borderline, or but most of them are bipolar. There's lots of bipolar people in mental institutions because their lows are so low, and when they get manic, they go crazy and they do crazy shit for months sometimes. So yeah, and they all talk about how horrible their relationships are, and how their relationships bring them down, or they feel guilty for yelling or beating their others and shit. And it's like, why the fuck would you get into a relationship if you're bipolar or borderline? Why the fuck would you date people? Or why would you bring them into your fucking shit life? Why would you bring them into your shit chaos? So you could feel better. That's why. So you could be like, oh, this person can love me. I could feel loved. Or I could give love to another because that's who I am. I am love, so I could give love. Or I'm not so lonely. I could be with this person and they can make me happier. Or I don't know. Maybe you're just manic a lot and you like to have sex a lot. You know, lots of people with borderline and bipolar disorder, sex is a big thing. We like to do the sex stuff. So, if you are borderline or bipolar, I would strongly suggest just having booty calls. Booty calls. That's what I do. I don't get serious with anybody. I can't afford to in the first place. Why? I can't buy cars and houses and stuff. It's too, and it would be too serious. I have to be emotionally stable all the time, so they don't worry about me. Because if they are not bipolar or have borderline personality disorder, I wouldn't want them to worry when I'm so suicidal. And if I got manic or angry, I would feel, like they would probably not want to be around me. And yeah, it's just awful. I've tried so many times to be in relationships. It's terrible. It's terrible for them. It's terrible for them. It's really bad for them. So I think that's important to keep that in mind. The next time you get lonely or you want to date or marry someone, if you are borderline or bipolar, manic depressive, and you want to attach to another human and date or get married, stop and think for a second and think about what will this do to this person if I do start the relationship with them. Don't think about yourself, think about that person, because you will destroy that person's life slowly, sometimes quickly. It's very important. Whenever I'm in mental institutions, I always bring up this strong point in group sessions when 3 or 4 people in the group session talk about how awful their relationships are. I always say calmly, I don't date anyone, ever. I haven't dated anyone in years, because I understand that every time I do, I destroy their life, and it also destroys me. I suffer from more depression. I get more fearful and jealous that they are going to leave me for another person. So it's not only causing them to suffer greatly, it's causing me to suffer greatly whenever I start a relationship with another person. Always scared that that person's going to leave. Always jealous of other people. It's terrifying. And it makes you angry sometimes, it makes you depressed sometimes, it makes you think you're not good enough a lot. Always thinking you're not good enough. It's not good to be in relationships if you have borderline personality disorder, especially borderline, because our abandonment problems are so severe, and our splitting, our black and white thinking is so severe. Oh, you're terrible, I hate you. Oh, I love you, you're so great, I hate you. Within the same hour sometimes. Fuck. that destroys your relationship with the person. Destroys it. And they're fucking confused, shitless. I might consider dating a bipolar girl or a borderline personality disorder girl. But that would be a shit lot to handle, man. Holy fuck. You would have to constantly tell them, I'm not going to leave you, I love you. No, but you are going to leave me. You are going to leave me. I saw the way you looked. No, I'm not going to leave you, I love you. No, you can't. No. No, seriously, I won't leave you. I love you. Don't worry. Constantly, man. Constantly, I would have to tell her that. If she was borderline. Sometimes even bipolar. So holy shit, that would be a fucking train wreck too. So who the fuck do you date? Who do you get into a relationship with if you're borderline personality disorder? Or bipolar? No one. That's the fucking answer, man. And that's every time I'm in mental institutions, that's exactly what I say. Because it's so fucking true. You're just going to ruin another person's life, and you're going to ruin your life in the process. So just have a lot of booty calls. Especially when you're manic. Because when you're severely depressed, when you're suicidal, and you're bipolar, and you're borderline, you don't want to have sex with anyone. You are so non-sexual, it's ridiculous. And if you're suicidal enough for long periods of time, or in and out of suicidal depression, you are not going to give the person that you're with the physical needs that they want. You're not going to be able to have sex with them every day like normal people do. Normal people usually have sex every day, or every other day at least. But if you're suicidally depressed, guess what? You can't have sex every day or every other day like normal, average people. So you can't give that other person what they physically need. You can't give that person that emotional, sexual thing that they need. So you are being selfish by entering a relationship, thinking you could do so. You can't. Ask yourself this question, if you're borderline or if you're bipolar. Have any relationships I've ever had in my life that were long-term, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year, ever worked out? Ask yourself that question. I hope you're doing okay.